Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Hashtag Behind Relationship Goals. I am Fofo.
And I'm Bones.
And this podcast is brought to you by our lovely blinds behind us, made by Dalfan. We'll give you a few more details about that a bit later on in the podcast. But Bonizi, what is the main topic of our episode tonight?
Tonight we are talking about home improvement. I want to say that sana with like glitter. That's how it feels like whenever I think about home improvement. So we just moved into this condo last month and the main reason is because we're still fixing up Subic. So papagandahin muna namin ang Subic bago pumunta doon. But after having moved to so many places, there are things that we realize na gusto namin at hindi namin gusto sa mga tinitirhan namin.
The reason why we came up with this podcast topic is simply because Bonizi and I were looking back at all the places that we had lived in and sobrang dami na pala. And because of that, there was a lot of experience that we gained from all that moving and searching for new houses and the future houses that we want to live in. And that's something that we wanted to share with you guys in hopes that our experience can help you in your future experiences as well.
So first off, Fofo, how many places have you lived in?
Okay, so Bonizi made the código for me. First place was when I was a kid, I lived in Palm Village. This was in Makati. Then I moved to Quezon City. And then I had a very short stint in Esteban Abada, near my school. And then my fourth place would be in the Grove, in Pasig.
Yeah.
And then in the Grove, I had 2 condo units that I lived in because I moved several floors up. So that would be my 5th place. And then my 6th would be the current residence that we are in right now. So 6 places for me.
I love it. For me, I've lived in a couple of places already, but I'm just going to count the places that we lived in Manila.
Okay, game.
So first was we lived in Timog. I lived right near GMA, just a couple of streets down. And then the next was also in the Scout area called Scout AA. And then we moved to another Scout street called Scout Delgado. And then after that, we moved to our condo in Santa Mesa. Then the townhouse on El Gruet in San Juan. Then the Grove.
In Pasig. That was with me.
With Fofo. And now here in our new place.
So how many is that in total?
7.
Okay, so given that between me and Bonizi, 13 moves between us. And each time you move, you slowly come up with your own system as to what you look for whenever you go change your places of residence. So what kind of house do you want? What kind of condo do you want? What features do you want in this new property? And what changes can you make on your own to make it homier for you?
I remember that when we were younger and moving to different places, probably the only thing that we would really look at was where the place was located, so location, and the cost of rent of the place. The first place that we lived in was a couple of streets away from GMA, and this is the time that I just finished doing Starstruck, so I was at GMA almost every single day. So it was only right and smart that we get a condo right near my workplace.
That's interesting. I really like that you started off with that. For me, back when I had just graduated or pag-graduate na ako ng college, I had 0 standards. Promise, 0. Ikaw, you still had location
Yeah.
and proximity to work.
O tsaka price, it had to be super cheap. So super mura lang namin nakuha. Yun.
Okay, so may standard naman din ako sa price. So yung price ko, sobrang bagsak presyo dapat.
Yes.
But it didn't matter what kind of space I had. It didn't matter if it was a condo, it didn't matter if it was super big or even super small. I just needed a place that I could afford. So yun yung only consideration ko dati. And obviously nowadays, 11, 12 years later, much has changed.
Grabe, iniisip ko nga lang dati, basta may matulugan lang ako na malapit sa work so that I don't have to spend money on travel, I don't have to wake up too early. Those were the only important things that I would think about before. But of course now that we've, grown up, there are more things to consider. There's a lot more that we look into when we first look at a potential home.
Okay, so I like the location part. Let's start off with that. So Bonizi, what do you look for now in location?
I think what I look for now in location is it a place that I can easily get to that isn't as traffic? Of course, there's traffic everywhere, but one, is it near work? Is it in the middle of work and maybe the places that I need to go to throughout the week? Things like that. And the last one would be, is there a grocery nearby?
Okay, but you say that, but everybody knows that we are planning to move to Subic. We have a place that we would like to move into already. So, in relation to that and work, how does that work out?
Well, you know what works out now is that a lot of taping nowadays is lock-in taping. I think that's kind of the advantage of us being able to live outside of Metro Manila because we're able to do our online work wherever we are. And then if and when we actually need to do taping, then we're in a completely different location for, let's say, 2-3 weeks at a time. So there's no back and forth and we don't have to spend as much time traveling.
Bonizi, so I like your point, but just to add to that, another idea that I consider nowadays is that since we're moving and looking into the different provinces of the Philippines, I found out and I realized that it's also important to know what utilities are around you. So you already mentioned one, which is groceries. But it's also important to have a hospital nearby.
Yes.
A police station. You want some government services to be around. Ayaw mo naman siguro sa far-flung places where it takes you an hour or 2 hours to get to a facility or utility that you need. So that's definitely a consideration and something that we have in Subic, which is why we like it there.
Now we move on to the actual home. Okay, imagine this already. You're about to enter a potential home, maybe a place you're going to rent or buy. What are the things that you already have in mind na titignan mo as soon as you enter?
I think the first thing I look is for light and windows, since those go hand in hand. It's extremely important for me because I feel like light really sets the mood and sets the tone for how you feel and how you behave inside your house. So I tend to look for places na maraming ilaw and maraming windows. And yung windows na may natural light coming in. I think I mentioned it. What's the point of a window kung pader naman yung katapat niya?
I remember when we first looked at the condo in Pasig. As soon as we entered the unit, all you could see were windows and all that natural light just came in and I just knew that that was the place that we were going to live in.
Parang super positive vibes talaga pag maraming natural sunlight na pumapasok.
It was so beautiful. It just gave me such a light vibe.
Aside from windows and light, the next thing I would look at would probably be outlets. Sobrang hassle kung may malaking living room tas iisa lang yung outlet. Sobrang bad trip nun. Diba? Because that means you're gonna have to add outlets, or if you're renting, then you might be stuck with that setup. And outlets are super important. Almost everything that we do is powered by electricity.
Yes.
From our cameras, to our phones, to our computers, to our studio setups, all of our cooking stuff, they're all induction-based. So kung iisa lang yung outlet, sobrang bad trip nun. Or to make things a bit more realistic, kung hindi maganda yung placement ng mga outlets, that's actually a big no-no for me. Because it will really, it will make life more difficult in the long run and during your day-to-day activities. How about you, Bones?
For me, I always look at the helpers area. And the reason why I always look there is because Sel and Meng are so important to us. Sila yung kasama namin sa house, they help around the house, and they make our work life so much easier because at least hindi na namin kailangang tutukan yung mga bagay na yun. So I always want to make sure that they have an area that they can relax in, an area that they can live in properly, and that's why yun talagang una kong tinitignan.
Actually, we consider Sel, Meng, and Roland, who isn't staying in with us anymore, we consider them family. So whenever we move to any place, we actually give them another bedroom. Because let's be honest, here in the Philippines, there are times and there are houses where the maid's quarters or the driver's quarters, they aren't really up to par. They're extremely tiny and they're extremely cramped, and we feel that that's just not a space that we would like to give Sel and Meng. So we have made a conscious decision that we want to be able to give them a bedroom and really make them feel like they're part of the family.
Another reason why we want to give them another room here in the condo is that the supposed helpers area is also doubled as the laundry area. So can you imagine being in a small cramped room and then yung heat from the washer and dryer is just all in your room? Parang hindi ka yata makahinga nun.
We know that different households in the Philippines, they tackle this issue differently, but we're just sharing how Bonizi and I do it.
So we made sure that they have the room with lots of light and lots of windows. Because a lot of our work is online, we need to make sure that we have really good internet service And dun nakasalalay lahat ng work namin, communication with family. So, kailangan maganda yan.
Basically, no fast internet, no move for Fofo and Bones. It is as simple as that. And to be honest with you, I'm really happy with how the internet infrastructure in the Philippines has been developing. I know that so many people are complaining about it, but at least there is development. We see it in the plans that are rolled out, the products that are rolled out by the various ISPs here in the Philippines. We are progressing, maybe not at the speed that most people would like, but for me, any kind of progress is good progress at this point.
Now that we've talked about our non-negotiables for our potential home, I think let's talk about the space in general. Kasi sometimes, yun ang unang tinitignan ng iba. Gaano ba kalaki ang space mo?
Okay, Bonizi, I have a question for you. What is your bare minimum space right now? What do you need in a space? Maybe not in terms of square meters. What is the bare minimum that you can live with?
To be honest, it's not like I can't live without it, but I think this is what's essential for us. So in my mind, I'm thinking 3 bedrooms because 1 for us, 1 for Sel and Meng, and our office. Is that too much?
Oh, you're gonna hate me.
Why?
My answer to this, dude, I could live in a capsule hotel with Bonizi. A capsule hotel is around maybe 10 to 20 square meters. You and I, we can live in a capsule hotel. At least that is what I think. Because imagine just 20 or less square meters of space. That's just here. We'll have to throw out a lot of things. Not I'm gonna throw out, dispose and sell of a lot of things. But in terms of being able to live, I think that's completely possible. Let me kind of set the stage on where I'm coming from. Okay? So yes, we live in the Philippines. But what if down the line we want to move to Japan for 3 months? For me, you and I could live in a super, super duper small room in Japan for 3 months without a problem. I think it's going to be super cute and it's such a good experience.
I mean, if it happened that we had to live in a smaller place here, I wouldn't mind also, as long as we're able to make the most out of the space. If you guys know those tiny apartment vlogs that you would see, then that's what I'm thinking of also. In our previous condo, we actually took the smallest room in the unit, and there was a good reason why we did. It's because we didn't spend enough time in our room because we were always working, always on the go, and almost never at home really.
And this is counterintuitive because more often than not, when we talk to brokers, most of them would always say, oh, sobrang laki ng master bedroom. It's gonna be amazing for you.
Yeah.
And in our heads, we're like, that really is not what we want. It is not what we are looking for.
That ain't our selling point.
But let's tell them why we came to this kind of thinking.
Initially, this office that we're in right now was supposed to be our master bedroom because we had that thinking in our head. Coming from the previous unit, siguro dapat kunin din natin yung smaller bedroom and then the master bedroom, that's what we'll make into our office. But as the days went by and considering that there isn't really a bathroom connected here, I realized that I wanted more privacy for us since the master bedroom had a master bath right inside the room.
So sayang naman, gusto rin ma-experience ni Bonizi ang feeling na may bathroom connected to the room. Because we've never had that, Bones.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, this is the first condo unit or the first place of residence na may bathroom connected to our bedroom.
I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah, usually kasi wala.
And another thing was, the master bedroom had a walk-in closet. And this closet was initially something that we didn't think we needed because we actually don't have a lot of stuff. So we wanted to initially take that out of the bedroom. But ayun nga, gusto ko nga ma-experience ang may walk-in closet ko, no? So, kung makikita nyo in the future ang condo tour namin dito sa unit na to, makikita nyo na halos walang laman ang closet namin, basta ma-experience lang.
True, and we also thought about it practically. Bakit pa kami gagastos para tanggalin ang walk-in closet? Eh, hindi naman siya pangit. Okay naman siya.
Yeah.
We could make use of the space. We could turn the storage space into something creative for us. instead of spending money to take something down, we decided let's just make the most out of it.
And I think the smarter decision was that since we're moving to Subic, eventually we do want this unit to be rented out para masulit, diba? And I don't think somebody who would rent this place would think, bakit tinanggal nila yung closet? Saan ko ilalagay yung damit ko? So, we actually just left it for our future renter. Sa totoo lang, the only requirement that we really want in our room is a nice bed that we can roll around in like lumpia. We had a bed customized when we were living in the Grove, and we wanted it to be square. So even if I sprawled my arms like this, and even if Mikael did the same, we wouldn't bump each other.
At gusto ko yung square because I always have wanted the choice of sleeping this way or this way at any time. You know how minsan medyo makulit ka matulog?
Yeah.
Yun yung gusto ko mangyari pero hindi ako malalaglag sa mattress.
And it was so funny because before we would actually have sleepovers with some of our siblings. And because we didn't have beds in the office or wherever, we just told them, sige, dito na kayo, kasya naman tayong apat.
And then sobrang nakakatawa because it would be me, Bonizi, a lot of space, and then our siblings.
Yeah.
So there was a time na 30 years old na tayong lahat and we still ended up sleeping on the same bed. But it felt like two different beds kasi malaki nga.
Can I just make kwento? I remember it was so funny. Emilio actually slept over one time, but he was using our taping bed. So his bed was separate from ours. And Fofo and I, we love talking at the end of the night. Like we have parang bedtime chikahan. And Emilio could not sleep. He said, you guys talk about the most random stuff in the middle of the night. And we were just like, oh, sorry, Mio. That's just us bonding. So we talked about our bedroom, Meng and Sel's bedroom, and now we move on to the third bedroom in this unit, which is our office.
Because of the new work from home era that 2021 or 2020 has ushered into our lives, the office room has become a very important part of our work and our workflow. Now, prior to 2020, who needs an office? We didn't need an office, not at all. We were mostly outside of the house, taping, on location. I would say 50% of our time was spent outside of the house.
I don't think I've ever used my laptop or computer before other than for games or for watching, Netflix or stuff like that. But now I use my laptop and my computer for a lot of work, for streaming. Dati puro games lang. Ano na nangyari? Naging office girl na ako sa bahay.
For the numbers people out there, if before we would spend 80 to 90% of our work outside of the house, last year and this year, I would say we easily spend 90 to 95% of our work inside. So this office actually makes a big difference because this is the place where we can store all of our items related to work.
All our gadgets, and even for meetings, because a lot of our meetings happen online now. We don't have to go out to meet people. And it's always nice to have good gadgets that support, presenting yourself to clients, presenting yourself to your manager or to important people that you need to speak to.
And of course, essential gadgets and equipment that make you a productive person. And of course, it also makes you happy and comfortable while you're working. We're working around 10 to 12 hours a day. It's nice to be comfortable for more than half the day.
What I really like about this room is, like the other rooms here, there's a lot of storage. So the closets that were supposed to be used for clothes, we actually use it now for storage.
For our tech gadget storage.
Yeah, and we're gonna work on having a tech gadget storage area, which is our next project.
So, Bonizi, just a quick overview of what we have in our office space. What are our essentials here?
I would say that one of the essentials is our motorized desks because it actually changes up the workflow. Sometimes you want to be sitting down and working, other times you want to be up and about. So I like having the option of sitting or standing while working.
The second thing that I think is an essential is our extension cords. So, like I said at the first part of this podcast, we have so many things that we have to plug in. Really, really good extension cords are important.
Thank you, Fofo, for our extension cords. We each have one. Importante na separate yung extension cords namin. Another must-have that we have in the office is our rolling carts. I don't think I ever needed a rolling cart as much as I do now because one cart is just for the podcast, another one is for computer stuff. So it's nice to be able to move things around efficiently.
The rolling carts also act as messengers. If I want to send something to Bones without standing up because I'm in the zone editing my video, I put it on the cart and I push it to her and she catches it. And the final essential that I would like to share would be our newly built network attached storage from QNAP. Basically, it is a humongous hard drive, and that is where we keep all of our files, our raw files, our edited footage, and other whatnot.
Podcast, vlog, and whatnot.
Super important. Before we continue, I would just like to talk about the sponsor of this podcast, which is Dalthan. They were the ones who made these beautiful blinds here. I want to post a couple of pictures just to show you how they look. So we have two kinds of blinds here at home. One is translucent blinds, which let a bit of the sun in. And in the bedrooms, they're blackout blinds so you can sleep in the darkness like Batman.
As much as we love natural light, sometimes natural light is just too much. And when it comes to photos or meetings, we don't want to have that washed out look. So when it comes to the office and even the sala, we have the translucent blinds that just soften the look just a bit.
Actually, they don't just soften the look, they actually have a lot of function as well. The first one is that they dissipate a lot of heat. Sunlight is extremely hot, and with our gadgets here, you don't want the room to get too hot. Baka parang boiler room na siya. So we want to protect our equipment, so it was important that we installed these blinds, but as Bonizi said, we didn't want to black it out and create a dark room. We still wanted some light to come in so we could still shoot, so hence we chose the 97% translucent blinds.
And for our rooms and for Sal and Meg's room, we chose the blackout blinds para at least if ever we want to sleep in just a little bit, we have the blackout blinds to help us out.
And for those who are building or moving into their future homes, these rolling blinds are actually very cost effective. Compared to custom made curtains, apparently cost a lot more because yard per yard, yung tela na ginagamit ng kurtina, mahal pala as compared to these blinds, which are efficient and space saving.
Also, if you're considering blackout curtains, then it gets even more expensive.
Kasi mas mabigat yung tela na ginagamit, no?
But you know, to each his own. We want to go for blinds. Let's go for blinds.
And if you have a need for blinds, Bonizi, where do they go?
Dalton Shades and Blinds. They were super helpful. They were super nice and very efficient with their time here in the condo.
We're very happy with their work. So if you're looking for a supplier of roller blinds, you can just get in touch with them. We will leave their contact details in our caption. And now we move back to the podcast. Bonizi, let's talk about the kitchen. I'm curious. I actually don't know what you think about this. What are your kitchen requirements?
I don't know.
What?
Yeah, because I don't cook like my other friends do. I think the basic requirement that I would have is you need a ref, you need a stove, and that's it.
Okay, so if there was a kitchen, there is a minimum amount of space that you need because you just mentioned appliances.
Okay.
So you said ref.
Yes.
You need a stove.
Yes.
I assume you need a toaster and a microwave.
Depending on like the food you cook. But yes.
Bonizi, almost everything you eat requires a toaster and a microwave. More than a stove pa.
Yes.
So Bonizi needs these 4 appliances. So automatically there's a minimum space requirement because you need to put these appliances on.
Yeah.
So I would say that Bonizi needs enough countertop space for a sink, a microwave, a toaster, a stove, and then provision for a ref. So she doesn't really need a big kitchen. I know there are people who have dream kitchens with a floating island, tapos sobrang laki that you can shoot a cooking video on it already or a cooking show on it right away. But for Bonizi, I think when it comes to kitchen space, she's actually quite the minimalist. So as long as she has enough space for her essential appliances, okay na siya.
Yeah, and I think I would go more for a functional kitchen rather than having an aesthetic kitchen because aanhin ko naman yung aesthetic kitchen kung hindi ko naman gagamitin, di ba?
Okay, Bonizi, I have a question for you. Do you like open cabinets or closed cabinets? For your dishes and your plates and your bowls, what kind of person are you?
I like having closed cabinets because I don't want dust to get on like the plates and the cups. So I think that's a fair enough choice. This is kind of connected to the kitchen because it's our coffee corner and you do use stuff in the kitchen for the coffee corner like water and the cups. Why?
That's our essential. I can't believe you just glossed over it. My gosh! Walang intro, walang build up. Our coffee corner. Bonizi.
Let's do that again. All right, our essential is our coffee corner, and that's probably the number one spot that we actually look for. I'm sorry, Fofo.
Bonizi, if we lived in a capsule hotel, there would be a bed and the coffee corner. Wala nang iba.
Wala na
Yun
tayong
lang.
kusina. Like, we
Wala
don't
na.
even need a kitchen. All we need is a coffee corner.
We'll just get food from the convenience store and eat it outside, but there will be a coffee corner inside our capsule hotel or capsule room.
You're so cute. I love it. So what did we decide for our essential coffee corner in this unit?
Well, I guess the bare minimum would be coffee, a kettle, and some cups. If you have that, I'm happy.
But you know what? Just like our office where we have an extension cord for each desk, we also need a separate extension cord for our coffee area.
So you have the kettle, you have the coffee machine, you have the espresso machine, you
Grinder.
have the grinder, and you also have 2 electrically temperature controlled mugs that we have.
So yes, we do need an extension cord for our essential coffee area. Out of all the corners here in the condo, I would say that the least used or the most untouched is the living room.
Which is funny to hear because it's the living room. You're supposed to live there, right?
But for a lot of people, that's the most used area, huh?
Yeah.
But I think because we spend a lot of time in the office.
Basically, almost 80 to 90% of our time here at home is spent in the office if we're not sleeping. And when we're sleeping, we're in the bedroom. So, living room doesn't get touched much.
So when do we use our living room?
The only time we use our living room since the year started was to watch the Marvel TV show WandaVision. That's it. And there are 4 episodes out, so we've only spent 2 hours of our time in the living room.
Oh, I remember now. When I binge watched Fruits Basket, the anime, that's the only time that I use the living room also.
But we could still do without the living room because we don't mind watching in bed on a laptop or a tablet.
But I do enjoy playing my video games on the big TV, so I think that's a plus for me.
It's a nice to have, and I would not pay to remove the living room either. So, we deal with it.
I was just gonna ask you pa naman, could we do without a sala in our space?
Yeah, we could.
I think we could convert somehow the TV and mash it with the dining area. Diba? Kasi we rarely use our living space. Cool. Future ideas for our little cozy 20 square meter place with Fofo.
Okay, so Bonizi, as we move on, I want to talk about home improvement. So we've been talking about essential things that we have in our
Yes.
home, things that we need to have, things that are nice to have. But whenever you move into any new property, you kind of want to make it your own. So what are the things that we usually do to make a place our own?
I think the number one thing that we usually do to make it our own is to improve the lights. Because when you move into a new unit, all you have are the standard lights. So mga light bulb.
Yeah, I think some people, or at least most people whom I know, they don't pay much attention to lights.
Yeah.
But I really believe that it sets the tone for your whole house. For example, Bonizi and I, we hate pin lights.
Yeah.
We're just not a fan of the way the light goes down. It feels very harsh. And when you're in a room na puro pin lights, after a couple of hours, parang...
Ang sakit sa mata.
Oo, parang napapagod yung mata mo.
Yeah, and I feel like when you take pictures and pin lights yung ilaw mo, parang nagkaka-shadow yung face. So parang hindi nakakaganda.
So, first thing we do is we take out all the pin lights and we replace them with LED down lights. Now, LED is important because from our experience, they are huge energy savers. Kahit medyo mahal siya at the first purchase,
In the long run,
in
you're
the
saving
long run,
more.
you are definitely
Yeah.
saving so much more money. Aside from the ceiling lights, other places where we would modify the lights would be in the bathroom. So we like having lights behind the mirror.
Yeah,
It
that's so
makes the
nice.
mirror feel like it's floating,
Yeah.
and then there's such a nice soft light touching your face whenever you open it. And another place that I
The
would like to
kitchen.
add light would be in the kitchen. So under the cabinet, so that it's shining light on what you're doing.
Yeah.
We like adding light there as well.
not all places that you would usually rent have those lights kasi underneath the cabinets. So in our last place, we actually added those on para at least mas maganda at mas kita mo yung ginagawa mo in the kitchen.
And lighting fixtures, at least the ones that we talked about, they're very, very easy to do. So it's something that we've always done every time we move into a new place.
Seeing the different corners of our house now, at least we know which areas we need to focus on and which areas that we want to feel brighter.
So Bonizi, aside from lights, what other home improvements do you think are mandatory for you now whenever we move into a new place?
It was harder before because we were just renting, and that's why I didn't even think about designing or think about improving per se, because it wasn't ours. We didn't own it. But now that we're finally living in our place, a place that we actually own, parang I have so many ideas that I want. Like for this office, I want to be able to put cool lights on the wall. I want to be able to have paintings or maybe printouts of our favorite video games. Just little things so that we can call it our own space and see na, this is Bones and Fofo's house.
Actually, Bonizi, you forgot to say that there are things that we already do. So aside from the lights, we actually have a couple of toys which we like littering around the house. Because that's basically our little touch that makes the home our own.
Yeah.
Aside from that, we also like putting a couple of plants, specifically some cacti.
We have succulents that Fofo got for me last year when I wasn't feeling so well, and they have blossomed into bigger succulents now.
And we like scattering that all over the place. We also have a couple of fake plants here because we can't take care of real plants yet. And I think they add a softer touch to the whole place. And I think wherever we move, we're going to be bringing those things along with us.
Mas nagiging homey yung vibe when you add these little things to a space. And I think the next thing I want to add, I want to order a poster of one of my favorite video games.
Which is?
Pokemon.
You have one already.
Yeah, but I want like a printout or maybe a printout of a bunch of controllers. So we've talked about our space, what we do to improve our home, but I'm sure there are things that we wish that we could have in our home, or like parang this is what I envision I want in my future home. For me, the first thing that I want for our home is that I want to stop being aestheticless. I want some aesthetic up in there. Like I want to have a place that when I put up my camera, it's ready to take a nice photo. If I put up my camera here, I'm ready to take like a food shot. So wala nang aayusin. It looks really nice and soft.
I don't know, Bonizi. I don't know if I agree with you on that one.
Why?
I'm not sure because I think what you call aestheticless, I know that's a word that you just came up with.
Yes, it is a word I just came up with.
I think that with the way that we design our house, I think we can achieve what you already want without having to say, I want a certain look. Because for me, if you care about your house and you put your love into it, you will slowly turn it into something that you will love. And you can always lose pegs, you can ask for advice, and I think that's where we should always constantly improve. We should look, okay, how can we make our design choices better?
Yeah.
Rather than saying, oh, I want it to look Mediterranean, I want it to look rustic, I want it to look Bones and Fofo. So for me, let's just keep on improving how we make our design choices. Keep on building on that. And as we make our way through life, I think our house will look like something we really want to be in.
Okay, that gets me really excited now. At least I know na I don't have to go into it all out right away, and I can just slowly work towards getting to that look that I eventually want for our home. What's one thing that's on your wish list?
To be honest with you, whenever I think about something I want on my wish list, I automatically think about why I don't want it. For example, I think about a gym. Maybe just a dumbbell set or a bike or a treadmill. And then I think about like, it's so hard having to maintain that when I can just go to the gym where it's always well maintained and always cleaned.
Gotcha.
Another thing would be a basketball court. How much space would I need to have a basketball court? And how much light would I need? And when I create that space and all that light, I'd need a maintenance person to maintain the whole thing. And I realized I don't want to have to go through that.
Okay, I get your point. But what about things inside the home or in the house that you think could improve, the way that we do things here? I have one.
Okay, go.
My wish list is that we get a dishwasher. like the dishwashing machine. Because I feel like it'll save a lot of time, it'll save a lot of effort, so that Sel and Meng, or even us, we can focus on different things and we won't have to worry about the dishes piling up.
Okay, fine. I have one that I think will work.
Okay.
I wanted the robot vacuum, assuming that they are really good at what they do. I'm not sure how good they are at vacuuming on their own.
Yeah.
But if they are efficient, I would like one because I want to be able to free up more space and time for Sel and Meng. Because eventually, I'd like them to be able to help us with our work and teach them more skills so that they are also growing.
I like that. Making sure that everything is efficient in our household. That's our wish list. Making efficiency key.
And with that, we have come to the end of the podcast where we shared some of our home improvement experiences and tips. We hope you guys learned something. And for those who are about to get into their own home experience or home improvement experience, good luck to you guys.
You can email us at behindrelationshipgoals@gmail.com. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Bones.
And I'm Fofo. And this is Soba. And you're watching #BehindRelationshipGoals. Bye-bye.
Bye.